Hello, can someone hear us? Hello?
I can hear you.
They seem to be keeping all the microphones turned.
Oh.
Provo, the fourth largest city in Utah, boasts a population of nearly 120,000. While it may seem like any other community from a distance, Provo City has committed to distinguishing itself to be truly exceptional. Thriving with a proud past and a promising future, Provo City is guided by a vision for continued prosperity centered around four key citizen priorities: public safety, economic development, quality of life, and visionary planning. Our commitment to these citizen priorities led us to craft a compelling brand promise, encapsulating the high standards of our community. Provo is not just a city, it's a welcoming haven, a safe and sound environment, an economically vibrant hub, and a forward-looking metropolis. We call these principles the Provo Pillars, forming the bedrock of a community that gains national recognition and local affection. Welcoming. Provo is a community dedicated to authentic inclusivity, where meaningful social connections foster a sense of belonging. Safe and sound. Provo prioritizes creating a secure environment where safe and healthy neighborhoods are fundamental to our residents' quality of life. Economically vibrant. Our focus on generational prosperity defines Provo as a community with a thriving local economy that harmoniously balances growth with livability. Forward-looking. Provo embraces visionary planning, directing our gaze towards the future of our community, with a focus on infrastructure, transportation, and housing. The success of our Provo City vision is evident through high approval ratings from our citizens and the accolades we've received, showcasing our commitment to maintaining exemplary city standards, both locally and nationally.
It's really fun to be here and to show basically a report card, and for me to be here and stand in front of you and be held accountable for our work over the past year. And that's what I'm here to do. Last year we unveiled Provo City's first mission statement, exceptional care for an exceptional community. It is the standard we strive for, but what helps us achieve it? We rely on our strong foundation of our 4 Provo pillars. Provo Pillars are a brand promise to our residents. We want to proudly say Provo is welcoming, safe and sound, economically vibrant, and forward-looking. In other words, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, the best way to predict the future is to create yourself and create it yourself. We are all community building together, making Provo the best it can be, knowing that the decisions we make today will impact generations to come. Each month, Provo City mails our city newsletter to residents. Just a quick little side story on this one. When I became mayor 6 years ago, we did an outreach to the community and said, how would you like to be notified? We want to communicate. We've got to communicate better. Tell us your method and how you want to hear from the city and get information. We kind of were on pins and needles waiting to hear what the feedback was, because we thought maybe it's going to go really heavy on Twitter or really heavy on Facebook. Or it was astonishing. It came back almost even. Everybody still likes the physical utility bill just as much as they like the Instagram post, just as much as they like the Facebook post. There wasn't one that jumped out significantly higher than the other. So we're doing all of them, and we will continue to do all of them, because really the communication piece is huge for me. The citizens need to know what's going on in the city. For each of the past 4 months, we've highlighted a Provo pillar to show our responsiveness to residents and to our survey we took, and that's what they asked for. So one of the things I'm going to do at the very end is I'm going to let you scan, and we want feedback constantly. We have a survey up and going right now. But how are we doing as a city? Provo City has been awarded the nation's best performing city for an unprecedented 3rd consecutive year, 2021, 2022, and 2023. The 2023 Milken Institute Best Performing Cities Index demonstrated Provo as having the best performance among large cities in the nation. Again, that's nothing I've done. That is these folks right here. That is the residents right here. It is all of us working together to make Provo an amazing city, which is getting recognized. A couple fun ones that we've received this year is the #1 city for worker satisfaction. That makes the mayor's heart happy, because I care about my employees probably more than I don't know, my directors will say she's going to cry, and I am not going to cry, because plus my husband's in the back, and remember, he tells me don't cry at work. So the worker satisfaction is really exciting for me, because that's important and significant. Another #1 was we were #1 metro for energy efficient buildings per capita. You are sitting in the first government electric building in the whole state of Utah. We are leading out as how we would hope other government entities will build their future buildings. It was a decision. When you're building a building, it comes to the table and it comes at a cost. But I knew very well, even before I had to have the discussion, that I was going in that direction. The sustainability matters to this community. And this electric building is the first electric government building in the whole state, and we're really proud of that. And then #1, boomtown in America. So I don't know, someone tell me what boomtown means. Whatever it means, we're really proud of it and glad we are. So next, the mayor's big six. What is the definition of a successful community? To me, it is citizen satisfaction. If you're not happy, I'm not happy. If you're not happy, I'm not doing my job. So is Provo a place you are proud to call home? We're always striving to be exceptional. So at the start of each of my 2 terms, I've identified key projects that are significant, require department coordination, that are challenging, and fit within 1 or more pillars, and then we swing for the fences. Our first big 5 are all now in the success column from my first term, and that is just, I mean, again, we swing for the fences and we put the projects on the board and we announce that this is what we're going for in the next 4 years, and if we get them, great. If not, we're going to try really hard and go down fighting. I'm so honored to say that all 5 are now in the success column. They were Fire Station 2 up on Canyon Road. That was the first fire station built in over 20 years in the city of Provo. Number 2 was our Provo Airport Terminal, which is having success beyond belief. Number 3 is our new City Hall and Public Safety headquarters. Number 4 is our wastewater treatment plant, which will be cutting the ribbon on September. Where's the day? September? This coming September. So everyone, and you're going to be like, we're going to come out to a sewer ribbon cutting? Yes, you are. It is amazing. You have got to come and see this technology. It is, I could spend, every time I block an hour, it's like 3 hours later and I'm still out there asking questions. So you'll all be invited. And then number 5 was our Quail Orchard Park, which we recently opened up on Canyon Road. So let's take a more in-depth look into 2 of our completed big 5 from our first term. And let's start with the new Provo Airport Terminal video.
Most outstanding mass transit airport project, terminal replacement at Provo Airport. This splendid new $27 million project consists of a 68,000 square foot airport terminal with 4 commercial gates added to an existing airfield. The terminal boasts concessions, seating areas, visitor and viewing lounges, TSA functions, baggage handling systems, and rental car facilities. The character of the new terminal is reminiscent of an historic Main Street with brick facades and window fronts, a nod to Provo City's streetscape. Black iron is a key design element, with the structure exposed and metal panels on the exterior. The structure is comprised of a structural steel, bar joists, masonry, ephes, and curtain wall, and designed to resemble an airplane. The envelope is a combination of curtain wall and ACM panels facing the runway side. A second phase of the project will include 2 elevated concourses with 6 additional gates. The project was submitted by Layton Construction.
We got that accolade of the 2022 most, what was the award? Outstanding mass transit airport, which was really exciting, especially for all of when we do projects like this, like I said, it's crossover. It's not one department, it's multiple departments that have to come together to make something this big and significant happen. So these directors have been amazing. The second one I just want to spotlight is our new Quail Orchard Park. Our award-winning Provo Parks and Recreation Department opened its 57th park in Provo. So take that in. I have been saying the wrong number for 6 years and I feel horrible. I've already apologized to all the Parks and Rec people. I've been undermining them. No, we are at 57. So 57 beautiful parks in the city of Provo. When we did this park, it was really important for me to get a neighborhood meeting. And so our design committee, consisting of neighborhood residents, worked for more than a year with a landscape architectural consultant. And according to Doug Robbins, our new Parks and Recreation Director, this team effort resulted in a plan that sets new standards for the neighborhood park design in Provo. So we'll just show a quick little fun video from our grand opening of this park. How many of you have had the opportunity to go play in that park? It's amazing. My daughter took her two little grandsons there yesterday, and they were there for the grand opening. And so they know they're 1 and 2 years old, and the water is their favorite feature. And they run to the water and get soaked. So they always visit for about 10 minutes right now and then come home because it's cold, but they love the water feature. So I love this photo minus myself, because these are the people that show up every single day at 7 a.m. that work tirelessly on your behalf and on my behalf. There's times where we'll have a rough issue or something, and I just see them and I thank them for coming back to work the next day. But they are really the people that make it happen in Provo. I always say there's nothing special about Michelle Kaufusi. There's nothing special about me. But what's special is these directors and the people that they manage and the people that work with them, because they're the ones that make the magic happen. We dream big and we work hard to get things done. I thought I would let them stand, each one of them, and introduce themselves. So I have my mayor's office staff here, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to start with my executive assistant, administrative assistant, who aren't even sitting up here. So I'll introduce them because they don't have a mic. But Heidi Wallstad, will you please stand? Heidi Wallstad is in the front office. And then Kay is my administrative assistant. Anyone that's had to come up to the office feels her love the minute they walk in. Great. And then do we have a microphone? And I'm just going to actually have you each, let's start with Nicole. Hand it down, hand one to Nicole, and let's start and have you stand and introduce yourselves.
Okay.
And tell what you do.
Okay. Is it on?
Yeah.
My name is Nicole Martin. I work in the mayor's office as the communications director. So when you see your newsletter coming in your mailbox, that's one of the many things that we do to try and communicate better with you.
My name is Isaac Paxman. I'm deputy mayor, work on a variety of projects in a couple of departments and legislative affairs and other things.
Scott Henderson, Chief Administrative Officer, working with all these great directors, making things happen.
I'm Dave Decker. I'm the Public Works Director. We oversee about 12 different areas, streets, water, sewer, engineering, lots of areas that we cover. The airport is one of the areas, and I'll talk a little bit later about that.
My name is Carla Gordon, and I am the library director, so I take care of the library.
Hi, I'm Amanda Erkenbrack, and I'm the Director of Customer Services.
John Borgett, I'm the Director of Administrative Services, oversee finance, human resources, information systems, as well as facilities and the Justice Court.
Good evening. My name is Brian Jones. I'm the city attorney, so I oversee the department that handles the legal affairs of the city and provides legal advice to the mayor and the city council.
I'm Bill Pepperoni. I'm the Director of Development Services. We have planning and zoning and building inspection and licensing and permitting in our department.
Good evening. I'm Jeremy Hedman. I'm the fire chief, and it's a pleasure to provide fire and EMS support for Provo City.
I'm Troy Beebe. I'm your police chief.
Travis Ball, the Director of Energy, trying to keep the lights on.
Does an excellent job.
I'm Doug Robbins, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. What we're going to do now, yeah, let's give them a round of applause. And I feel like we couldn't go through the night without acknowledging Rachel Breen, who is magical when it comes to this neighborhood program. And from City Council, I'm joined with Malia and Michael. Raise your hands. And then the Executive Director of City, you're trying to hide from me, Justin, but I see you. The Executive Director for the City Council is Justin right here. Okay, at this time, we're going to jump to the slides, and depending on which slide, according to the pillar, the director will address it. So I believe we're going to start with Dave Decker, and Dave's going to talk about that big number 1 millionth.
Now is it on? Is it now? Okay. My name is Dave Decker. Like I said, I'm over Public Works, and one of the significant areas of Public Works includes the airport. The mayor asked me just to cover the airport just a bit. The airport's been open for about a year and a half, and probably the best way, beyond the video that was shown earlier about the airport, the best way to describe what's happening there, the mayor used just an outstanding things that are going on, performances that we had never anticipated. I saw last week a slide that was showing part of a master plan that was dated in 2017, and they were projecting if we built the terminal, how long it would take to get to a certain number of flights and also passengers. And they anticipated about 10 years. They were telling about 2030, 2035 we would get there. And we overlaid what our current performance is at the airport, and we're actually already exceeding what they projected in 2035, just a year into the operation, a year and a half into the operation of the airport. And it's pretty outstanding, and it takes a multitude of people and departments to help run the airport. I specifically want to mention the fire department and the police department. They play a very key role at the airport during its daily operations, and we very much appreciate them. Outside of that, I also wanted to just speak a little bit about, well, let me give you one other statistic that helps you to kind of understand where the airport's at. In the terminal, if you ever flew out of the airport before the new terminal was built, we had about 400 parking spots, and they were oftentimes filled, but that was about the maximum that we ever have. Right now at our airport, both permanent and temporary parking, we have over 2,500 parking stalls, and they're oftentimes filled. And so we're scrambling to keep up with what's happening at the airport. There is a need to expand the airport, and we can go into a little bit more detail if you've got some questions on that. But I also wanted just to speak just for a moment. The mayor said that there's nothing really special about Mayor Kaufusi, and I have to say I disagree. The airport, the terminal is probably one of the things that she played the biggest role, at least from my opinion. The mayor and Isaac really were able to put the money together, get the right people in line with making the airport terminal happen. So I think I need to specifically mention that she played a significant key role there. Mayor, do you want me to cover anything else? Okay, thank you very much.
And again, just look at that millionth. We had our millionth passenger board, and that was just an exciting day for us. Thanks, Dave. All right, so let me speak to this one. This is a little bit of our town and gown. For those of you that don't know, we're a college town. Apparently, I'm the mayor of Cougar Town. I get told all the time. And so when BYU jumped into the Big 12, it became a priority for us. We wanted to really put our best foot forward and show all those visiting schools, because they travel really well, the other teams from the Big 12. And we wanted to show Provo for what Provo is and how amazing it is. I got my team around the table and I said, what can we do to just, blow it out of the water? We just want to blow their minds with how great Provo is. Well, not me, but they came up with this amazing idea of what if we build a box that's all about Provo, that tells Provo stories in layers, and you send it to every mayor to their personal address, and they get it 24 hours before we officially joined the Big 12. So I loved the idea. We went to work on it. I can't tell you the responses I got from the mayors, from all the teams in the Big 12. It was just really fun. But a piece of that was we sent a little video to show how excited we were to be joining the Big 12. Because if you think about it, the economic impact it has on the city, when those folks come to town, when they eat here, buy their gas here, stay here, sleep here, all of that helps us. So we really wanted to put our best foot forward. So we made this fun little video and sent it in the box that every mayor received, and it was a hit. So we thought we'd just share it. Hi, I'm Mayor Michelle Kaufusi. We're excited for BYU to join the Big 12 Conference to showcase our athletic talent and our exceptional city. Welcome home is our city slogan, and that is exactly how we want the Big 12 schools to feel when they visit. What better way to welcome our visitors than to share what we love most about our community and know they will too.
I love Provo. My favorite thing in Provo is the amazing nightlife.
That's one of my favorite things too. While you're here, you could dine at one of over 70 one-of-a-kind restaurants in our historic downtown Provo. Travel back in time to the 1800s. Break a sweat or get wet. Celebrate freedom at our 4th of July parade. Or come to the Stadium of Fire. Wander through history or a book. Embrace Olympic glory and skate like an Olympian. Experience world-class sports. Jog our river trails. Climb Rock Canyon. Fly fish the Provo River. Enjoy a glorious sunset. Ski world famous Sundance. Glide or ride down a mountain. Immerse yourselves in our amazing music scene and maybe discover the next neon trees.
In addition to BYU sporting events, please come enjoy the city of Provo. So many fun things to do here and all kinds of events that fit the family here at BYU.
As you can see, Provo offers a wide variety of activities. I hope you enjoy your visit here. Go Cougs!
Go Cougs!
Go Cougs!
Provo and Utah Valley is where it's at, so welcome! So I call me weird, but being born and raised and lived here, that gives me goosebumps. I'm just gonna say, because it's everything I love about Provo. All right, our next item is our animal control, and I think we're gonna start, a lot of these topics, like I said, crossover departments. So I think we'll start with Brian Jones in legal to address one of this, and then I think we've got Chief to speak and a couple others. So go ahead, Brian, thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, Mayor. Well, as you might imagine, the way that people view the city might have a lot to do with how animals are leaving the surroundings of the city. And so that I think is why this falls under the welcoming category. So this one was put on the agenda, I think, because it's caught a lot of attention recently, which is interesting. I think this is probably the non-action by the council that's caught the most attention since I've been working with the council. And what I mean by that is recent publicity has seemed to have captured the attention that maybe there's been a policy change, when in fact, what the council did after some consideration was not change anything, but ask the administration to publicize better what the current law already is. So there were a couple of council work sessions that were held in the fall that were really originated by you, the citizens, who the council and the mayor were receiving a lot of complaints from people who were saying that animals off leash and animal waste was becoming a serious problem throughout the city. That up in Rock Canyon, animals were off leash all the time, that animal owners were not taking care of animal waste. We heard a lot of comments from people saying, what's the problem in Provo? Because this same thing is not happening in Orem and in Spanish Fork and in the surrounding communities. And so there was a lot of citizen input about what was initially called the dog problem the first couple times we talked about it in the council meetings, and then started to be called the dog owners problem. So I had an email that I sent today summarizing this issue. So let me just explain what I mean by things not really changing. I looked at the code book at least since 1987, and probably long before that. We recodified the code in 87, so all the laws say that they started in 87 in our current code book. But at least since 1987, it has been the law in Provo City that you may not have an animal. Let's see, let me read it. That's probably a better way to go. It's unlawful for any animal to be at large at any time within the corporate limits of the city. Okay. So, and it says the owner of or custodian of any animal which is at large shall be strictly liable for a violation of this section, regardless of the precautions taken to prevent the escape of the animal and regardless of lack of knowledge of the offense at the time it occurs. Okay. So except for on the actual owner's property, it is illegal for animals to be loose. The second provision, which I won't read, but says similarly, since that same time, it has always been the law in Provo that if you are the owner or guardian of an animal that defecates in a public place or in a private place without the private property owner's permission, it's your legal responsibility to remove the waste. Both of those, by default, are Class B misdemeanors, which is the default for any municipal code violation in the state, which, at least in theory, potentially carries a penalty of up to $1,000 fine and 6 months in jail. Now, again, that's the default for all municipal violations. In reality, the Provo City Justice Court has a standard fine table that they use, and the standard fine for running at large and for animal sanitation violations is $150. Now, the court has the option to increase or decrease that based on the circumstances. This isn't a law that's been ignored. Over the years, the police have always cited for this when they have seen or witnessed violations and felt like that a warning was inappropriate. And at many times they've given warnings. And we've prosecuted these, and many people have received these tickets and paid these fines long before today. But as the council brought this to the attention of the administration, they asked the administration to help solve this problem. And one of the things that they started doing is publicizing it more, which in a practical sense probably will lead to more citations, because the more it's publicized, that the more people will probably call the police when they witness a violation, which may result in more citations. But other than the renewed focus and the publicity, there hasn't actually been anything that has changed from the legal perspective.
And being charged with enforcing this, our job is to improve quality of life and work with citizens. When we looked at this problem, it is a public safety issue when a dog's at large and jumps on another person or causes the other person's dogs to chase after them or cause issues. That we have an incident where it's caused harm to elderly lady on the river trail. So we know that it is an issue. As it's been more public and our officers have been, excuse me, asked to watch for this violation and to enforce it according to their regular duties. They have discretion. They have the ability to give both warnings and citations. And that's where I come in and say I'm very proud of the people that we employ at the police department, because they use good judgment. They are the ones that put the badge of trust on, and that is not taken lightly. And so when they do issue citations and when they do provide warnings, they're doing so according to how they follow their direction in the law. So that's the ins and outs.
Hi, Doug Robbins here with Parks and Recreation. Maybe I can speak a little bit towards the dog park at Bicentennial Park. Back in 2015, we established a small dog park. It's about an acre in size, a little off-leash area in an area that had a nice buffer around the park so it wouldn't impact the surrounding neighborhood. That park became very popular. It was one of the first in the county and quickly became used very, very frequently. And it was never really designed to be the only off-leash area in the city. It was just the first one, but it became very, very popular. I can tell you that every single park development project that we've worked on in the past 10 years, we've had a discussion about an off-leash area. It's just that an off-leash area is a great idea, but when you try to locate it in the neighborhood, you do receive a little bit of resistance from some. So it's an area where we need some consensus in order to establish these throughout the city. Mayor Kaufusi has asked our staff to get together with our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and look at potential locations and the feasibility of locating additional off-leash areas throughout the city. So we'll be getting that feedback back to the mayor and then also to the city council for their consideration later on this year. Thanks.
All right. So this next little slide, well, it's a fun little video. So we work with the Provo School District and their CATS program, and their CATS program is where kids get to come and tackle a problem for the city for the semester and come up with a creative solution. And usually it's a video and coming from the school district as the board president of public education in Provo School District for 7 years, I love to partner with the children in the schools. And it has really been a phenomenal partnership we've had. So this was, they came and they asked what was something that we need to work on. And we told them we're focused on resolving the dog issue and looking at other potential dog parks or locations, east, west, north, south, get some more off-leash opportunities. But this is the current issue we're dealing with. And they went to task, and this was their finishing product they brought back to us. And I thought I'd show it.
The parks and trails are busy with pet owners, but they're getting more and more dangerous by the day. Hidden in the undergrowth are the droppings waiting like landmines. 2 years of roaming these parks and trails has made me wary. But it's only getting worse. They think they can get away with it. I must choose my targets carefully. I have a signal now for when I'm needed. It's a big city, Provo. I can't be everywhere.
I'm really proud of our Media 17 because they really are the magic that makes this happen when they work with the students, and that was the product for this year. So I thought it was really appropriate for a lot of the questions we've been getting lately in the mayor's office and in the council office. All right, this next one goes to, let's see, it is Dave Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to highlight just a couple of people. We have some division directors from Public Works in the back, and Gordon, if you don't mind standing, I'm going to embarrass you for just a second. Gordon and his staff is one of the, thanks, Gordon. Gordon is the city engineer, and he's also the division director, and this project is specifically under his direction and his staff. One of the things that we cover in Safe and Sound is all kinds of modes of transportation. One of the things that we identified several years ago, it's been almost 7 or 8 years ago, that we made application for this project, was a rail crossing specifically for issues with pedestrians going across some tracks located near the commuter rail station down on Freedom Boulevard and about 600 South. And we identified a need for a pedestrian bridge. UTA became a partner. There were several other federal and state agencies that helped with this project. And just recently in November, we opened this project. It's very user-friendly. There's even some heating elements as far as keeping the snow and the ice for safety. It's very bike-friendly as far as getting some other equipment across that pedestrian bridge. The mayor and several other state officials also spoke at that, and just wanted to highlight this recent project that is an excellent addition to safety in Provo City.
Right, let's see. Our next one is police and fire. So who would like to, oh, Chief Phoebe's gonna go
I
first.
got the mic, so I'll go first. The public safety building. I've had a couple of opportunities to thank people for this building, but after working for 24 years in the old building and having the opportunity to work in this building so close to all the resources, having the ability to conduct meetings in a professional fashion with the space to hold these meetings, to investigate crime, have the appropriate facility to do so, to provide victim services in a professional way. Thank you. It's really, it is a true awesome responsibility that we have as police, and it is a true honor to serve you in a professional way and have the ability to do so. So I love this new building. It is amazing. I have some really good fond memories of the old building, but I'm so glad that we're here. So just as an update for the building is laid out in a certain way in which we're able to operate efficiently with our 4 different divisions in the police department. And again, it's built for the future, so it's very nice and able to accommodate that way.
Got my own. So we started back 2020. We built Station 2. Our previous station, for those that didn't get to go through it, was a 1950s house that was converted into a fire station, badly in need of being remodeled or demolished so that we could build a new one. We did that, and the station turned out amazing. We have a crew up there 24/7, 4 firefighters, 2 on an ambulance, 2 on a fire engine. And as far as this building goes, the things that I really love about our headquarters is not only is it much nicer and much more functional, we can actually have a meeting where we can all sit at a table. I can get my command staff in one place and discuss topics and make decisions and improve our service. But I also have a close proximity to the police chief. We get along so well, the police and fire departments, and that's not always the case in every city. Provo has a unique relationship there, and I love having that. Station 1 is in the process of being built. It is just right over here, and the footings and foundation on the exterior are all poured. It's about a 12,000 square foot building, It'll have 3 bays. It will house 6 firefighters. One of those is a battalion chief, and then 3 on a ladder truck, and then 2 on an ambulance, and then the ladder truck crew will cross staff a heavy rescue, which does all kinds of technical rescue throughout the city and the county. We have 6 bedrooms for the crew and 1 for the battalion chief, and we're expecting it to be operational in November of 24, pending potential, as long as we don't have any supply chain issues. But the contractor's pretty confident that November of 24 we should be open.
And then I need to tell you about some equipment that we've acquired and how valuable it's been to us. We have it's a product called Flock. It's a LPR, which is a license plate reading camera. It takes photographs of the back of the vehicles. These cameras are located in different areas in the city and have been a force multiplier for the police department on numerous cases. The controls over this are maybe the issues that as a citizen I may be concerned with, would be big brothers watching me everywhere, things like that. That's not the case with this. It is the requirements that for us to use it are criminal investigations. So you have to have, there's backstops and not just anyone can access this equipment. But where it has gone incredible for us is in cases that have been for example, this intersection where a individual fell in the early morning hours, was ran over and killed, and the individual that hit him fled. That happened, I want to say right around 6 o'clock in the morning. By 11 o'clock, we had that individual in custody. That's a huge asset and force multiplier in investigations for us. On the contrast, we still haven't solved a hit and run that occurred on 820 over a year ago. If we would have this technology, I'm confident we would be a lot farther along in that endeavor. One other, there's a lot of theft cases and vehicle theft cases that have been solved with this technology. We had a missing person of an associate that had left a pretty significant suicide note. Needless to say, their families are very thankful that this technology exists. So being able to utilize it as it takes a photograph of the back of the vehicle, and then through the processes, I would call it AI. I can search a certain time frame where a vehicle is within the city and be able to do so without having a license plate. So for example, this hit and run at this intersection, we were able to see that the vehicle was a white van. It was very grainy, and the video footage from the grocery store was not great. You could see with the white van. Well, at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's a few white vans, but not very many, and that's how we were able to solve that. But I can say that Flock has been it's utilized daily, and it is a very good product for us.
Okay, let's move on to our next one. Economically vibrant.
Okay, the Regional Sports Park is located at 2470 West Lakeview Parkway here in Provo, just across the road and north of the Provo Airport. The site is 100 acres with about 60 acres of it being rectangular flat ball fields. and a 45-court pickleball complex that will be built, making it the largest public facility in the region. Currently, we have over 330 local sports teams, most of them youth teams that are playing on about 11 fields here in the city. When completed, this facility will meet the growing needs of this youth sports program, as well as other recreation programs that need the space and lack capacity currently. In addition, this park will be able to host regional sports tournaments and special events, which will really open some opportunity to the city, especially these teams that are having to travel out of the area to compete in these tournaments. Sports travel tourism is a $90 billion industry in the United States, and it's growing every single year. This park is intended to host about 6 regional and national tournaments, 15 statewide tournaments, 30 other local tournaments, and will create long-term economic impact and benefits to the city of Provo. We're coordinating with Utah County Tourism, and the Bureau estimates that over 78,000 visitors annually to the park, but with an estimated $30 million of local spending from out-of-area visitors to the local economy every year. The targeted businesses that we're looking at that will impact the economy include transportation, hotel and hospitality, restaurants, retail, shopping, and entertainment. We're on schedule with this project. As you can see from the video, for the first time, you can actually see the outline of the fields, the parking areas, the internal roadways, access points. We'll continue through the winter making final grade adjustments to the fields, building restrooms, playgrounds, in preparation for laying of sod this spring and early summer. And so we'll be in operation in the fall of 2024. We're excited to begin operations and start to realize these benefits that will help Provo remain economically vibrant.
I'll just speak very briefly about 4 different economic development projects or activities going on. The city's economic development director is Keith Morey in the back of the room, and it's really Keith and the mayor who have led the charge on many of these efforts. The first is the Provo Advantage. The Provo Advantage is a series of short informational videos that are just intended to inform the public about things that are going on in the city that aren't immediately obvious. How many of you have seen a Provo Advantage video? If you just Google Provo Advantage, you'll be able to watch all the videos that have been made. But some of those topics talk about how Provo is a hub for startup businesses in the county and in the state. There's a Provo Advantage about unique businesses in Provo, like Vanderhall Industries, that produces the only automobile manufacturer in the state of Utah. It's right here in Provo. Talks about close carbon fiber guitars that are manufactured here and are sent to 80 countries around the world. Talks about the uniqueness of Duncan Aviation and what they do out there. So I would encourage all of you to just go online and look up Provo Advantage and take a look at those video clips. They're very informative. They're very fun. They're very well made. Kiln is located in the Plumtree, what used to be the old Plumtree Shopping Center on University Parkway. That's where Cafe Rio is now. Kiln is a boutique flexible office space for rent, which provides co-working space for teams from 1 to 100. The founder's mission statement or goal up there kind of explains what he's about and what the business is about. But the idea is to bring together different people and business ideas, and to bring them together and to give them an opportunity and a space where they can build off each other, where they can collaborate, where they can take advantage of relationships. It's a really cool building. If you haven't been in it, go by. It's very much state-of-the-art. AV-equipped conference rooms, a podcast studio, an events theater. It is a really neat space that we're very excited to have in Provo. So go by and check that out if you haven't. We also have Target that is just today applied for their business license. They intend to be opening this spring, late spring, maybe early summer. But we're very excited to have Target coming into the regional mall we have in Provo. It will be in the upper floor, the top level of the Dillard's box, so you'll access it from the east side of the building. It will include the typical grocery component of all Target stores or all the Target superstores. And the last is Ryan Smith's incubator space in on North University Avenue. So this is at 5600 North University. He's building 300,000 square feet of office space for incubator businesses. So businesses like Novell and Word Perfect started here in Provo 40 years ago. There's a long history of that type of innovation in Provo and in Utah County. This is to foster those types of businesses and those types of ideas. This is also unique because Ryan is also building, along with the office space, about 200 townhome units that'll be right next to this. The purpose of the townhome units is for people to be able to live and work right next to each other. Now, you won't have to work at the office buildings to live in the residential space, but it's just made there, put there to be convenient and to just help the working environment to the people who will be at the business park.
I've been asked to cover a couple of topics in the category of forward thinking, and one of the projects that is one of, I guess personally, my favorite in forward thinking relates to water. Provo City has an excellent history of water rights. I don't know how many people know that, and it's not just recent history. It dates back more than 100 years in some cases. And Provo's had excellent leadership for many years when it comes to water and water rights. And we've been very careful with that resource that Provo City has been blessed with. Just recently, in the last couple of years, we have identified some concerns with some of those water rights and being able to put them to what they call beneficial use. And one of the things that we started contemplating about 10 years ago, and we've done some pilot programs. If you've walked Rock Canyon in the last 3 years and noticed water running in the stream in kind of odd times of years when it normally wouldn't run in Rock Canyon, you're probably watching a pilot program for ASR. ASR stands for Aquifer Storage and Recovery, and the basic principle is to be able to put water stored in the aquifer, intentionally put there and stored for future use. The aquifer is basically throughout all of Provo City. It varies a little bit from the east side to the west side, but generally our aquifers, where we get most of our water, we operate 16 wells from that aquifer. We take water out when the demand is such that it's needed. But the principle of ASR is to store it there long term. And again, those aquifers can vary from about 400 to, in some cases, about 700 feet deep. And it's an excellent source of water. I don't know if you noticed in the very beginning slide when the mayor was talking about different awards and accolades that the city has. My favorite wasn't mentioned, but if you noticed, Provo City nationwide was awarded the third safest, highest quality water nationwide. That's an incredible, if you think about it, that is an incredible award for the city to get. And I just wanted to let the residents know tonight that we continue to look very aggressively in forward-thinking objectives and projects to try to protect that resource the city has. The mayor indicated also that all 5 of those projects have been moved to the success column. The ASR project was just barely moved to the success column. I actually approved projects, 3 projects, which include a water treatment plant that will be built, not a wastewater, but a water treatment plant that will be built just north of the Range Tree Apartments, if you can picture where that's at. And I awarded those contracts, signed those contracts just today to get that project underway. So there'll be some very significant work in that area, and then up toward Rock Canyon to complete those projects. This is probably the worst video you'll see tonight. So we received $50 million from FEMA for this particular project. They were very impressed with our pilot study, with our consultants and the work that they've done, and our capability to do ASR in Provo cities. And the objective of the water treatment plant is to be able to take water out of the surface, primarily the Provo River, put it into a treatable form, put it into the aquifer so that we can store it for long-term purposes. And when we talk about long-term purposes, we're talking about 7, 10, maybe even 15 years of storage that we could put in the ground. So our hope is to have, about November, have an award completed and construction started late November, December, January timeframe this year. So residents should be able to see actual construction starting on the water treatment plant within the next few months.
Okay, that concludes our prepared portion of the presentation. At this point, we wanted to go to question and answer. You may know that we asked for questions to be submitted in advance, and we got a number of those. So we're going to march through some of those. Our vision was to have a real high quality meeting, very informative, stay on task. With that in mind, we had envisioned an end time for our discussion here at 7:15, after which you're welcome to bring other questions to any of us. Maybe you have a follow-up or anything like that. There's also going to be cookies and refreshments for some mingling. With that in mind, we're going to try to be concise in our responses. So I'm asking our administrative team, we kind of envision how can we make sure we don't go 20 minutes on one answer. So we're going to shoot for maybe like a minute and a half. I'll have a timer because we've only got, 15 minutes more for questions. But I'll first go through the ones we want to respect those that were submitted in advance. A bunch of them were submitted about the dog stuff, and we kind of tried to address that. If you have follow-up questions, I'll get through these others, and if you have still a question, you can ask it, or you can come and talk to one of us once we conclude. So this one first, we thought we would go to John Borgett, and I'll just read it, or the main portion of it. It says, I just had a question about the recreation center bond payoff. My understanding was that after 7 years, we would be able to pay more towards the debt than what is required. With the recreation center doing well and sustaining itself, are we using the profit from that to pay off the debt faster? So John.
The city does have the ability to pay off the bonds for the additional and make additional principal payments on the rec center as of January 1st, 2028. Okay, so that's about 4 years from now. Because of the need to keep the rec center looking new and up to date at the beginning of the fiscal year 22, the city committed to take the first $400,000 of profit from the rec center and set aside the money to move to the parks CIP fund, or the capital improvement fund, for future capital needs. And the interest was that we want to make sure that we keep the rec center looking new and fresh, and that we're replacing the equipment and keeping it up to date. So a little bit of history from that. In fiscal year 22 and 23, the rec center had a profit of $26,455 in 22, and then $312,444 in 2023. And in both of those years, that money was set aside for capital replacement.
And again, if there's more follow-up, you can come talk to John after, or any of us. The next question that was submitted in advance, this one probably would be Bill Pepperoni responding, just as a heads up. It says, our neighbors have an old shed, old trailer, and debris on their property. Can the city increase fines for this type of stuff, being not only an eyesore, but a fire hazard? Are inoperable vehicles allowed to simply be parked on their property for years? So Bill, can you talk to that one?
So I'll take the last first. No, inoperable vehicles cannot be parked indefinitely. Please call into the 311 or call into my department, Development Services, and let us know about that. And we'll get somebody out there to follow up on it. On the increasing fines, there are several areas where we would love to do that. And we recently talked about increasing a fine substantially for a problem we're having in the city. And because of some limitations in state law and the way things are handled, it's not as easy as it may sound to just increase the fine. We would love to do that when we can, but it's simply not as easy as that. We are very intent on doing all we can for zoning enforcement. So if you feel like we're falling short, if you feel like there's a problem in your neighborhood, something that's not being taken care of, please let us know. We only have 6 enforcement officers that cover the entire city. So we're largely complaint based. We need you to call in with those complaints. Your complaint will be kept confidential. We don't disclose that information. But please let us know when we're having those types of problems.
I just need to jump on that and say, because we've experienced an issue in our neighborhood where we saw that thing happen, and they have ways of escalating it and bringing more resources. So do call in if you have a concern, and it's a great team who will work very hard to get it done. The next question, I think this will be for Dave Decker. Has there been conversation about how the streets around the Provo Temple will be impacted by traffic once the temple is rebuilt? It says North and South Temple will be very crowded if the street currently in front of the temple is removed as the plans seem to show. 900 East will also be handling much more frequent traffic as patrons leave the area. So, Dave.
Thanks, Isaac. I'm going to let Gordon speak to this if he wants to add anything after my comments, but just a couple of things that I want to note for residents that are in attendance or maybe listening. We did a fairly extensive look at the traffic circulation, the projected traffic circulation after the project is completed, and also our current traffic patterns. And what we identified was only just a couple of 100 cars that are not using that facility for immediate access. And we did not feel like that was a significant amount of traffic that might be impacted by closing that road that's right there in front of the temple. We have elected to move forward with that request. There may be some modifications, particularly down on 9th East, that are needed on the north side to add a potential signal, but we're going to watch that. But right now, we see very few cars using that road right there immediately in front of the temple, and so we're quite confident that we are not going to see a major impact. Cars will still be able to access the road south and the signal on the south side down on 9th East. Or Gordon, you want to add anything? Thank you.
Okay, and I think Doug will take this next one. Why has this is about Memorial Park. Why has the city continued to allow Memorial Park to be cut in half by a road? Has reconnecting the park ever been considered, or is the city willing to consider it in the future? And then it kind of goes on to explain some of the concerns, but that's the real issue brought to you.
Sure, appreciate that question. I've thought the same thing several times. So I went into some historical photography, and I looked back to 1946 today. I found a photograph where 8th East runs right north-south right through that area. In fact, I couldn't find 9th East. So in the old days, 800 East was the main north-south corridor. So I think it's more of, there used to be a street with a park on both sides than a park bisected by a street. But of course, that is entirely possible. If that works out for the transportation plan for the city, we would coordinate with Public Works, of course, if that was a potential opportunity for us to expand the park and get a little bit more recreation space at that location. That's something we could look at for sure.
Great. So that concludes our pre-submitted questions. Now your turn. We're going to have Scott on one side, the mayor on the other. And if you've got a question, raise your hand.
Hi, I'm going to just have talking to this little one, and then as you stand, will you just please say your name?
Absolutely. Thanks so much. First, I just wanted to say thank you guys for addressing the solutions for dog owners. I think everybody's committed to a safe Provo, and I'm grateful that you guys are looking into solutions for us. I just wanted to know what the mayor's office and what we're going to do in the meantime, because I do know that at the city council meeting, they did discuss creating a civil fine schedule that would have much more reasonable fee rates for dog owners, and a recidivist kind of clause in it that would make repeated offenses kind of more severe, so that you would actually have a warning at first. Because I've got friends and loved ones who have been ticketed by officers who understood that they did not have any discretion, that were told that that it was a zero tolerance policy, and who are now facing, in particular, Karina, who was here a couple of weeks ago at the city council meeting. She's a single mom, and she's living very much on a tight budget, and she's facing a misdemeanor B charge this coming Tuesday. So I wanted to know what the mayor's office is doing for people like that.
And legal will take that.
Okay, I'll take that, and then you can add anything that you'd like to add. Well, so the decision about whether to impose civil fines or not is actually a decision by the council, not the mayor's office, because of our form of government, because it would require a code change. It was discussed in the council meeting, but it was discussed really kind of by mistake, because when the presentation was done, the people doing the presentation looked through the code and looked for civil fines and didn't see any. So they looked at other cities and saw these civil fines and then came and presented information about them. What they didn't know is that we were already doing enforcement, and that the criminal enforcement has always been the way that we have done it in the past. Now, the city council could make the decision to impose a civil fine, and they could add that. One thing that I would say is that we have seen at least in the code enforcement area, we abandoned civil fines 15, 20 years ago because we found they didn't actually work and didn't actually work very well for creating enforcement. But the officers do have discretion. The prosecutors have discretion. The judge has discretion. So the ideal is that circumstances will be taken into account in those specific situations.
Thank you so much for your response. My only concern is that misdemeanor B charge could affect employment opportunities, could affect her ability to support herself and her son in the future. That's a very, very severe penalty for something as simple as what she was doing. She was playing fetch with her dog in a controlled manner in an empty park.
Well, and I guess just to address that question, I don't know that I can't give legal advice to citizens instead of to the city itself, but I would say in any case, as I mentioned in my previous presentation, a Class B misdemeanor is the standard penalty for any violation of any city ordinance. Without trying to create more work for my own attorneys, I would say if you are ever charged and you have a concern about that, ask to meet with the prosecutors, because there are solutions to that.
Ryan, is there a set fee is there a set dollar amount that those are?
My understanding is that what we often refer to colloquially as the bail schedule, which is a schedule that the court has created, that it charges for somebody who just comes in and says, I just want to pay this. The fee is $150. But again, you don't have to do that. You can ask for a meeting with the prosecutor and present your case. And there are things like pleas in abeyance, where you pay a fine, but the conviction doesn't actually stay on your record, or opportunities to have the fee mitigated depending on the circumstances.
Okay. Thank you for all that. Another question.
My question first, I want to say also thank you for addressing the dog issue. Thank you to the police chief for, I agree, I really trust our police officers and their ability to make a good decision and have discretion. What's been communicated throughout the city at many parks by officers issuing these citations is that they don't have discretion, that they don't have a choice, that they've been instructed not to give warnings, but to give $150 fees. So somewhere communication is breaking down, and I want to know how is that going to be clarified that officers do have the discretion to look at a situation like Karina's and give a warning instead of a $150 fine.
Yeah, so each of these officers, it has been brought to their attention that we want to look at it. But they all have discretion, especially on a Class B misdemeanor. When it reaches a higher degree of violation of law, felonies and such, the law states shall. The Class B misdemeanor does not. And so I don't have the authority to tell them that they don't have discretion in enforcement. They're there. They're the ones making that decision, and they do that accordingly. So that has been, that's not only trained from really the first day of field training and in the academy, but onward, that's not something that we do. So each officer does have discretion. I can tell you that issuing a citation changes behavior. The behavior is what we're trying to adjust. This is a human problem, not a dog problem, and we do support responsible dog owners. and that we love our animals. I mean, in my years of being a police chief, kids and animals, you really protect them both. So it's
Chief, don't you have some statistics of warnings versus citations that would be helpful?
I do. So we have, it's exactly even. It's 9 and 9. I have 9 citations that were issued since we posted our advance notice. It was only a couple of days, but we put it on our social media, and then we advised officers to look, because this is a quality of life issue. So we want them to pay attention to it while they're responding to other things. And so there's 9 warnings and 9 citations. So they are using discretion. I can't account for their verbiage when they're talking to individuals, but I can tell you what the stats show and what I know.
We're over our target time, but does someone have a burning question they want to squeeze in?
Thank you. I'll just make this quick. My question has to do with safe street design in the city of Provo. Over the last decade, there's been several examples of severe accidents and injuries, as well as fatalities in the city of Provo due to pedestrians within crosswalks being hit by automobiles. And I just want to ask, like, besides the wonderful work on the pedestrian bridge over the train at the train station and other projects like the raised crosswalks here, what's being done and what will be done by the city and the engineers to address things before they occur? Because at neighborhood district meetings, it's been relayed out that we wait until something happens until we actually do something, and that's kind of the standard set. But if we know that there's a street that in a crossing that is unsafe and will eventually lead to a severe injury and to a fatality, why aren't we taking the actions ahead of time? And that's my question. What will the city do to take those actions ahead of time?
Thanks for your question. Engineering is specifically assigned to that area that you're talking about, and Gordon and we have a specific traffic engineer that looks at crossings. And I guess the short answer that I would give: make sure that you communicate those concerns, whether it's through the neighborhood program or schools or however they're coming up. Make sure that we are specifically aware of those concerns. I see a pretty consistent amount of study being done by our engineering group. They're good to communicate and copy me on emails with their consultants or anything that they're doing. And I see a pretty consistent amount of study that's done on crosswalks and pedestrian concerns. Generally, one of the things that we have seen is a significant amount of increased funding that has helped. We've especially gone into areas around schools and put in what they call rapid fire pedestrian crossings. It's a very effective, I think it's a very effective, and statistics show it's a very effective method of getting those crossings improved. And we're seeing other methods to improve those areas. You can see some of the work on Center Street you specifically mentioned. And so we're getting a little bit more aggressive in some of those areas. So if there is a specific concern, catch Gordon after the meeting. Let's make sure that those crosswalks are on our list so that we're studying them and making sure that they're addressed.
Mayor, did you have any final comments? We've gone over time.
We've gone over time. I just wanted to again say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight. A couple of things: we're constantly pulling public information and wanting to hear from you. We have we always have some type of study going or a survey. This is our latest and greatest, and so if you wouldn't mind scanning the QR code to take the Provo Pillar survey, we would love it. If you don't know how to do this because it is kind of new, just get one of us and we'll help you, teach you how to get your camera up and get it till the yellow line comes up and you tap it, and then there you've got it. We appreciate your feedback. It'll make me a better mayor if I hear from you. I need to hear what your concerns are. I need to know what can do better to serve you, because that's what I'm in this seat for, and I appreciate your feedback and your honesty. I also wanted to remind you, being born and raised in Provo, we would go to Provo Bakery every Saturday morning. As from the time I was a little tiny girl living off of Center and 9th East. So I always choose Provo Bakery for treats when it comes to any type of a meeting that the mayor's hosting. So please go across the hall and get yourself one of the world's greatest sugar cookies, a Provo Bakery sugar cookie, and a drink before you leave on your way out. And I just again want to say thank you for taking the time, and thanks to the directors for spending a late evening with the mayor. Usually I'm here alone late, except my cute husband. I'll come down and lay on the couch so that so I don't go home by myself at 11 or 12. But this is so nice of the directors to give their time tonight. I really appreciate it. And again, I really appreciate you. So thank you for coming.